Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to Convocourses, and today is really open topics. I'm going to focus entirely on people's questions. I don't have any interviews. I don't have any notes. It's going to be straight up questions from TikTok, from YouTube, from Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever the questions come, that's where we're going to answer them. So completely open topics. Let me see here. Last week, we talked to Will Reed of bettereverydaycyber.com. That was great. It was great to talk to him. An awesome professional who's been doing this a long time. I learned a lot just from talking to him. He had a lot more experience than me in information technology management and cybersecurity management. That side of the house, I haven't really messed with that much. I was a manager a couple times, like in the military, supervisor, stuff like that. But I've kind of avoided that role. But yeah, it was great talking to him, and I might have more because the reception that I get when I do those interviews. Maybe I'll do more stuff like that. I usually do it when people reach out to me and want to do it, but maybe I should start reaching out to people to try to do those kinds of things more often because it's very well received and I get a lot of positive feedback from that. So maybe that's something I should do more often. All right, let me see if there are any question. If you have any questions whatsoever, my name is Bruce. I've been doing cybersecurity, specifically GRC. That's a kind of a non-technical cybersecurity route that you can take. You still have to know IT fundamentals, and the more you know, of course, the better you're going to do in this field. But it's not as hands-on and as deep in the weeds as some of the other stuff. It is very challenging. So in a lot of ways, it's more challenging than that this more technical aspects because you have to deal with people on a regular basis. You have to be able to embrace the culture of an organization, and you have to look at the bigger picture for an organization, which is not always necessary when you're working on things like doing fixing the vulnerability management or something like that. Like if you're doing I don't know, Microsoft Mecum, or if you're administering servers or doing cloud computing for a specific system, that you don't have to usually you not have to be like a have that architect mindset where you're looking at the whole organization. You don't normally have to, unless you're in like a management type position. You're not in meetings where you're dealing with people's gripes or dealing with political stuff. You're kind of just fixing systems. You're just creating accounts. You're, fixing routing protocols on a network router if you're a network engineer or something like that. And if you have a meeting, it's going to be about those technical things. Whereas a governance, risk and compliance, GRC type work, information security type stuff, it's leans more towards like a project management type, lots of meetings, coordinating with the subject matter experts in the field, pulling people together and getting things on the road for cybersecurity. Your focus is cybersecurity for the whole organization. It might include physical security. You might be in a meeting with the dudes who do physical security. You might coordinate with the facility manager. You might have to do an interview with them. If you're having to do an authority operator or part of an assessment, you might have to do a little bit of personnel security. You're not doing personnel security, but you might interact with the people who do personnel security. So it's all aspects, not just dealing with we have a vulnerable um Wi-Fi encryption or something. It's not just like that kind of thing. It's all aspects of cybersecurity is what you're doing when you're thinking about governance, risk, and compliance. So that said, I've been doing this a long time. So if you have questions, I'll do my best to answer them. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything, but I'll do my best to help you out. I have been doing this for a long time, so I'm on the inside looking out. So okay, I got some questions here on TikTok. Let's see here. Let me see here. J14Y says, I just finished my cybersecurity boot camp. I've just finished a cybersecurity boot camp and studying for the Security Plus. Is it possible to land? I think he means land a job. So J14Y, just keeping it real with you, what they really want is going to be experience is what they're really looking for. Um, don't be discouraged. It's not impossible to get a job with just a boot camp and Security Plus. I'm not saying that. It is possible. I'm just saying most of the positions out there are going to want you to have experience, real world hands on experience. There is a way that you can put in your resume. You could, if you articulate it in your resume, your your willingness to work with a team, your ability to learn quickly, your ability to work with difficult customers, and your skill set that you've developed. You might be able to put that in your profile on LinkedIn, put that in your profile on Dice, on Monster, market yourself, and say, "Look, I want to get in. I'm a hard charger. I want to get in. I'm really good at working with others." If you were able to explain that, if you can get yourself in there and explain what it is you do, you can you might be able to land yourself a position. Now it's not going to be a highest paying position, right? It's going to start from the bottom, but you can work your way up. I mean, that's where I started in the military. I started off doing help desk stuff, and they were just having me doing odd jobs around the comm unit. I was fixing laptops, fixing workstations. I was just doing odd jobs in the military. So you start off from there, and then you might want to look for local positions, local field tech positions, local, because if you don't have experience, there's some jobs that will take a GED with no experience. There's some, but you have to know the stuff. Like you have to know how to work on like how computers work. You have to know basic stuff. Right? There's no exceptions to that rule, but you could get in if you worked it right. Look for local jobs. Don't worry about pay for now. Just get in there, get your foot in the door, work there for about 8 months, a year, something like that. Get your experience. You might even be able to level up within that organization, or do a lateral change within that organization where you go from one unit doing field tech work to more office work, doing local area networks as a junior network engineer. I don't know. Like they might be able to get you in where you level up within that organization. So, um, that's what you have to do. Start off small. Focus on experience. You can still get experience right now. You got to start where you are. If you happen to be working in retail, they have an IT department. Go ask, see if you can be a part of that department. If you are working in, I don't know, the financial sector, you happen to be a bank teller, you want to be an IT guy. They have an IT department there. They have routers, they have point of sale devices, they have all this, they have equipment. You might be able to make a lateral change from wherever you happen to be and get the experience right in where you work currently. If you're a student, same thing. In high school, in college, they have units there that will allow you to come in and work. You can be a working student for some time. They have programs in high school these days and in college that you can actually make a lateral change. So it's not a question, but boot camp, it's okay. I'm not telling you not to do it, but the Security Plus is an awesome certification, but I'm just telling you, experience is king. So focus on experience. Focus on that, and that's going to help you out quite a bit. Hope that answers your question. All right, I'm having some issues here on the. Okay, all right, I got some folks on YouTube. Let's see here. It's gonna be me. That's funny. Jay Sully. He said in the process of completing my master's in information technology, audit, and cyber, then taking the CISA. Been in tech for 13 years. Oh, tech sales for 13 years. Any advice in trying to get into GRC prior to obtaining a CISA? So if you happen to be working in a field, right, wherever you happen to be, you said you're in tech sales, you might be able to get yourself into what you want to do is get some hands-on stuff with things like writing policies, security procedures. If there's anywhere in the current place you work right now where you can get it, be a part of that, because technical writing is a really big part of GRC work. Technical writing, when I say technical, I mean like a security policy is usually something that's written towards management type people. It can't be super deep or too super technical. It can't get into super details, but you're writing to an audience, and that audience is the management, the upper level and medium level management. If you happen to be writing anything with an executive summary, keywords executive, it's going to go to a C level, like a C suite exec, like a CIO, a CIS, CISO. Those people are going to be reading that executive summary. They're going to be, because they need something quick, right? So that's writing executive summaries, writing policies. If you can get yourself in there, that's really, really good experience that a lot of people don't get, by the way. And I'll get to the lab part in a minute. Another thing you probably would have exposure to is SOPs. SOPs for the clients that you're selling this technology to. SOPs, standard operating procedures. That's what SOP means. It's writing to an audience, a non-technical or a technical audience, in a way that is clear and concise and gets to the point. That's the kind of stuff that we do, especially in the C part of GRC. That's the compliance portion. We do a lot of writing, a lot of editing, a lot of revisions, a lot of modifications to existing documents is a lot of what we do. So if you can put that stuff into what you are, that's what you're already doing in GRC. So part of your work, what I'm saying is part of your work may already be doing GRC. You just need to be able to explain it in your resume, in your profiles on Dice and on Monster and on LinkedIn. By the way, you should be on all of those platforms and more. Like, you should be on at least 10 different platforms. If you're really trying to do this to get a job, then you need to put yourself on as many platforms as possible. I hope that makes sense so far. Now, as far as the technical aspects that you can get, like the skills, you want to probably develop some technical skills if you don't have any already. And that's where you go into labs and stuff. Labs you can develop in your house. You can mess around on your own network in your house. You can put a firewall, start messing with those. You want to just get exposure to the actual hands-on portion of basic information technology fundamentals. You want to start learning that kind of stuff. So you're on the right track. Just start to look at all the writing you've done. I know in sales, you might have had exposure to the writing portion. So that's one piece that you can put in there. Trying to think of any other things. GRC also, like, you're not going to be, as a sales rep, you're not going to be afraid to talk to people. So that part, you got that in the bag. Like, your communication skills should be second to none. The technical part is probably where you're going to have to dig deep and start doing some work on your own to sharpen up your skills. So that would be my suggestion, is to look at what you already have is your writing skills, put that in your resume, learn some frameworks. Any frameworks that you're exposed to currently, from a framework or a standard. What I mean by that is, I'll give you a few examples, and one of these you might be familiar with. One's called CIS, and they got hundreds of these, so I'm just going to name like the top ones. A CIS V8. You've got NIST 800 series risk management framework. You've got NIST cybersecurity framework. They've got version 1 and 2. You've got PCI DSS, which does card readers and things like that. Sarbanes-Oxley for the financial sector. You've got HIPAA, which is for healthcare organizations. You've got FERPA. I don't remember what FERPA stands for, but it's a standard for education. You've got so many different frameworks. So many different ones. But if you know any of those, or if you can get deeper on those, that's another area where you can like really excel, where other people will leave that off their resume. And if they want to be GRC, but they don't know those frameworks and standards that people want. Another one I mentioned was ISO 27001, which is an international standard. And if you're from another country, there's every country from Kenya to Uzbekistan. They all have some sort of standard that you could be familiar, that you can be like, if you're in Japan, they have their own. Every country has their own. The US, off the top of my head, has something called FISMA. You've got OMB 130. You've got these are regulations that were written by legislation to say all government systems will do X, Y, and Z. And so Japan has one, China has one, Australia, all countries have something like that. Okay, let's see here. And then you said, thanks, great information. I talk to C-level execs all day. I sell them technology. I'll add that information to my resume as far as tech writing, etc. Yeah, absolutely. That's where you want to go, Sully. Let me see. I got some other stuff. Let me swoop over here to TikTok real quick. See if I have any questions. It's all questions all day, guys. I'm just going to do just straight up questions. No interviews, no teaching, just straight up questions. And just so you guys know, I got something coming down the pipe. Just keep following me. If you're interested in knowing more and going deeper, I've got a lot of stuff just coming around the corner. I'm investing time, money, and energy into these other projects I'm going to be introducing to you guys as soon as I get further down the pipe. But for now, follow me on YouTube, Convocourses, Facebook, Convocourses, TikTok, Convocourses, almost every platform. Type in Convocourses, I'll be there. And then just sign up, and then you'll hear me do an announcement. The best way to hear from me and to follow me is probably YouTube and my newsletter. Those are where I'm going to I give away free stuff, discount stuff, early release stuff, all kinds of things that I'm talking about, I'm doing. But that's coming down the pipe, so just follow me. All right, let me see here. Nick W. Okay. And I'm going to try to do better about getting all you guys' questions today. Newbie here, only have a CC cert. Any recommendations where to turn next looking at GRC? So CC cert, focus on I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but it's going to come down to experience. So how do you get experience should be your question. How can I get experience? You should focus a good portion of your energy, not on just certs or your degree, but on the actual skills, because when you get into the interview, when you land, if you keep at this, you will land an interview. When you get into the interview, they're not really going to ask you about your certs. They might have a passing glance at it, like, oh, you have a degree? Okay, that's cool. And that'll be it. They'll ask you maybe for proof of evidence of your degree. You send that to them, or your cert, or whatever they need. That's it. They're going to ask you about your experience. They're going to ask me, what have you done for me lately? And they're going to ask you, what have you done? And that's where you need to shine. You need to focus a good portion of your energy for your career path into what have you done in this industry. So where can you focus? If you're a student, you could be a working student. Whether in high school or in college or whatever, if you're not a student, you happen to be at the job. You can do a lab. Maybe your job has nothing to do with IT, but you want to be in IT. Do a lab, create a lab. That's something you could talk about in the interview. Like, yeah, I set up a Palo Alto firewall in my house. Like, I'm skilled at it. I haven't done it in the active environment, but I know how to do rule sets. I know how to configure it. I know how to back it up. I know how to do Cisco routers, Juniper routers. I know how to do that stuff. And you be able to explain that in the interview when you land it. Get the hands-on experience. Create a lab in your house. Try to do a lateral change at your job. Offer work for free. Come in after work. If you know the IT department, come in during your lunch hour or before work, and go talk to them. If you really want this, I'm telling you exactly how to do it. Focus some of the energy that you put towards these boot camps and some of the time, money, and energy that you're giving to these certification programs and to the boot camps and all that kind of stuff, and focus it on getting technical skills, whether it's creating a lab or trying to get in the position yourself to go work with the IT department. Rob, borrow, beg, and steal to get experience, because that's the most important thing. I'm telling you, if you work at a job, retail, and you are a teacher or something like that and has nothing to do with IT, man, come in early and work with find out who the IT department is, find out their hours, and then go knock on their door and be like, I want to learn IT. What can I do to come work with you guys? What time can I come in? What time late? Because that's money. Every minute you work on IT is money, because that's what you're going to put on your resume. That's going to get you that job, to make you that money. Does that make sense? That's what I'm trying to get you to do is allocate some of the resources, your time, money, and energy, but beg, borrow, and steal to get that experience because that is what's going to make you the money. That is what's going. I'm not telling you don't get a degree, right? I believe in degrees. I'm not telling you don't get a certification. I'm all certed up, but all I'm telling you is allocate a good portion of your energy and time and money and resources to getting the actual experience because that's going to be the most important thing. Creating labs, projects if you happen to be in school, doing freelance work for people, make a business and start beg, borrow, and steal. I'm telling you, make a business. Like you can do a sole proprietor and then start doing business, do your own business where you set up. If you know how to do, remove malware or something like do that. Put that on your that could be on your resume. Um that's not lying. That's what you did, right? You have a sole proprietorship. You were the CEO of it, or you are the, you you were a freelancer. You removed malware. You created Wi-Fi networks for people. Whatever. That's one thing. You make a lab in your house and start learning how to do Splunk or scanning, Tenable, whatever. Spend some money and time on yourself. Invest in yourself to get that experience. Okay. I hope that it helps you out. Is GRC entry level? I would not call a GRC position entry level. There are entry level positions in GRC. All right. As a whole, it's kind of a specialization because there's things you have to know when you come in. I interviewed Chris from Tech Woke, and he said something that was really enlightening to me because he just came right into GRC. But when he explains his background, this guy he's not like he put in some work before he did it. So number one, he had a master's degree. I mean, right off jump, his master's degree. Not everybody has that, right? That's like what 2% of the population have a master's degree. He has a master's degree, and then he worked for a while in doing security, physical security, to get a clearance, and he's in DMV area. I mean, all of these things put together set him up for success. So then he went into GRC. You see what I'm saying? So he didn't come straight out of some other career field, right? And then come straight into GRC. And I don't know too many people who have. I can't even think off the top of my head of many people, unless they were project managers. I've heard of project managers doing it. I've heard of managers doing it. I've heard of normally GRC people come from another field, like they come from IT background. Help desk people can come easily. Easily. If you're a help desk person with a year, you could do it. Like I could tell you how to do it. Um, if you are a network engineer, if you tech sales, my man here is talking about tech sales, he could do it. There's a certain things that they're looking for, but if you know the jargon, if you know IT, if you know the basics of IT, that's really a fan. So as a whole, I would not call governance, risk, and compliance an entry level position. Are there entry level positions in it? Yes, I know that's confusing, but let me explain. G stands for governance. That's like your management position. That's project managers, program managers, C-level execs. How many managers coming in off of nowhere? Like entry level, meaning I have less than a year of experience and I'm coming directly into this job. There's not many managers that get that, right? Maybe if you came from the military as a lieutenant or a senior NCO or something, and then you became a manager, but that's still not like they have like 20 years experience or 10 whatever years experience. So G is management. R is risk. So risk management. So that's auditors, IT auditors, security assessors. Like if you're talking about purely risk-based job, risk consultants, those guys got to really know their stuff. Like they're technical. They have to know the technical piece, like deep, and they have to know how the organization works. That's years of technical and management. It's a combination of the two. Like those dudes really have to know their stuff. Risk management people, they have to know if their networks, if they're doing audits on a network, they have to know the scanning piece and how to analyze that traffic and that data. If you're doing documentation, you got to know risk management framework or PCI DSS, or you have to know the framework real deep. And then the C stands for compliance. Now, compliance is one where I've seen some pretty fresh faces get in there. Like I've seen some pretty new people who weren't very technical at all do compliance. But even them, sometimes they had like a military background. Sometimes they had like they're coming in from college where they had a degree, a graduate degree in like information assurance. There's always something that the organization had to work with. So as a whole, GRC is not normally entry level. Is it possible to get in there? Sure. Yeah, it is. And when I say there are entry level positions, there's junior compliance officers. There's junior positions for risk management, but they're expecting you to come in and know some stuff. So let me see. I really need a mentor, please. So if you want a mentor, I know that Will Reed at. I hope you got a pen ready. Will Reed. I talked to him last week. He's doing coaching right now, and he's at bettereverydaycyber.com, and he's doing coaching right now. So he's one of the only ones who I know, like that I've talked to, that guy knows what he's talking about, that I would say, yeah, go go talk to that guy. I don't really have time right now. I'm too busy with personal life stuff. I'm trying to do something more, but it's not going to be. I'm not in a place where I can do coaching or mentorships or any of that kind of stuff. I'm currently going to school for an associate in cybersecurity. Do you think it's a waste? No, absolutely not. That's an awesome. I think that's really great. Like if you have the time, money, and resources, in my humble opinion, right? Some of my peers would disagree with me, but in my humble opinion, if you have the time, money, and energy, if you have the resources to go to college, that degree is going to help you out. The degree is very competitive. It can help you get your foot in the door. And the networking you can do, both technical networking and meeting people. I remember one of the real important questions that Larry asked last week was that how important is it that you network with others, like meeting people, coordinating with people, chit chatting and talking? It's important because in college will give you that. College that gives you a whole bunch of opportunities. Now you got to take advantage of it, but they have working student programs where when you get out, you have experience. They have projects that you can do. Those projects you do, whether it's building a network or hacking into a network in your project, whatever happens to be, that stuff you can put on your resume. All right. That's experience. That's the type of experience I'm talking about, like hands-on experience where you did some stuff. You could work for the school. They have working student programs. One of my long time followers on here, friend of mine, goes way back to my other websites. This dude is a working student. He's about to graduate and have like 5 years of experience. That dude's gonna get paid. So it's not a waste of time at all, but use the resources. Don't do it just to get the piece of paper. And before you get that piece of paper, don't wait. Start right now to get your experience. It's an awesome opportunity if you take advantage of all the things that they have in school. These days, even in high school, one of my kids had a program where they give you an A plus. They teach you how to get an A plus, CompTIA A plus certification while you're in school. And then they had a working student program. I'm like, damn, that right there is incredible. Then they had like programming clubs and all kinds of stuff in high school where you get out of high school and you can land yourself a job. Actually, one of my friend's kids, he got out of high school and was making like 55,000 a year because he was an IT guy in California. That's not that much money in California, but I mean that's better, more than most people make. Let me see. Another question here. Kennedy says, did I skip some people? Hold on, Kennedy. Let me see if I think I skipped some people here. Just give me a second here. Sorry. Let me go back. Yeah, okay, I skipped some people. I apologize. Chan says, "Hey Bruce, what is better, the CASP Plus or the CISA? To generally to to eventually go Gov, GS 12, 12, 13 policy planning role. Experience is 2 years of technical support and starting position GS 9 to 11, a net sys admin on Gov side. Um, I would say off the top of my head, I would argue that the CIS, the damn, this is a hard one actually. Which one's more market? Okay, let's go with marketability. Oh, that's a hard one. Wow, this is a great question. Which one's better? Which one is better? I would, in my career as it is, I would go for a CISA. I would go for a CISA because I think it's more marketable. Okay, let me do some research here. I'm going to look up, I'm going to go to my favorite site, Security Certification Progress Chart at pauljeremy.com. One of my favorite sites. I don't know who this guy is, but I love this site that he made. And let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll show you a couple of places where you can do your own research here. Just give me a second to share my screen. All right. This is pauljeremy.com, and it has a security certification roadmap. And it breaks down communication and network security, security architecture, assessment security. And the question was that Chan asked me was, which one's better, the CASP or the CISA? And he said that he's trying to go into the gov position, a GS 12 or 13 policy planning, and his experience is 2 years technical support, starting a position at GS 9 and 11. First of all, let me say, Chan, you're not going to go wrong with either one of these. These are both professional level certifications. Let me show you what I mean by that. So here's the CASP right here. So let me explain this chart first. So all the different colors you see here, you got green, orange, black, purple, blue. Each one of these indicates an area of cybersecurity or IT cybersecurity, right? If you going from left to right, starting with green, going all the way to maroon, red, whatever that color is. So that's all the different areas, right? Going from all the way from communications and networking all the way to security operations. And it's breaking down pen testing, GRC, cloud computing. Each one of these has a color coded. Now, if you go from bottom to top, it's going to go from beginner certifications, where you get things like the A+ certification, Project Plus, Network Plus certifications, like very entry level type certifications, all the way to intermediate certifications. These are like Security Plus, getting into GSEC, going to things like let me just, there's a lot here that I don't recognize. Some SSAP, I'm not sure what that is, but those are all entry level certs. And one that you might know of is the CCNA. That's a very popular certification. So those are all intermediate type certifications. And then you go up one more level from intermediate to expert. And those ones are difficult certifications, and they're very accepted certifications. And usually once you get one of these certifications, you're looking at six figures, right? The CISSP, the CASP, the CRISC. Now, what I want to show you here to answer Chan's question is, where does the CASP Plus sit in relation to the CISA? Now, let me show you here. So CASP is right here. It's between an expert level certification and an intermediate. I would give it like a high level intermediate certification. It's only a couple rungs below the CISSP. And I guess that I don't have the CASP. I have a CISSP. I would say the CASP is getting very well accepted. And from a friend of mine, my old mentor, he told me that CASP was one of the hardest certifications he ever took. So it's up there. And this dude has a CCNP and all kinds of. He has a CISSP. He has a whole bunch of certificated, huge certifications. All right. So there's the CASP. Now the CRISC is here. Let's look for the CISA. And now I did mention that I would have gone for the CISA, but you wouldn't go wrong with going with the CASP Plus either. Let me see. CISA is here. Here it is. It's between security and risk management and security assessment and testing. Here it is right here. It's right below, it's a couple rungs below the CASP. So you can see it's between intermediate on its way up to expert, whereas CASP is like right on the cusp of it. So CASP is, according to this chart, a higher level certification. But I want to show you something else. I want to show you the marketability of each one of these to show you why I would have chosen the CISA. Now, it kind of depends on what you want to do. It really depends on what you want to do, but let me kind of show you where I'm at here. I'm going to go to indeed.com and I'm going to show you the marketability of each one of these things. So here, wait, let me make this a little bit bigger. Here we go. So let's start off with the CASP. So let's just type in CASP. And what this is going to do is show us how many employers are looking for the CASP. And then we'll look at, maybe we can see some GS positions too. Oh, there's another chart I can show you because you said GS positions, but let's just stick with this first. The marketability, okay. Marketability, the CASP. Now, I didn't do any kind of filtering here. All I did was just type in CASP, and there's 400 people. There's 400 jobs out there on Indeed for CASP. And then now let's look at the CISA. CISA is probably the second most popular certification out there. So even if you didn't go GS, you could still get, so it's over 1,000 jobs. So it's double what you saw with CASP. And that's just because more people know about CISA is what I would say. So I would go CISA if I were you. But, you know, another place I should probably show you that might change your mind is 85. It's called 8570 certification, or I think let me see if they changed it to the 8140. Let's check this one first. So 8570 is a document that was created by the DoD it's like an approved baseline certification. That's exactly what it is. It's not like that. That's exactly what it is. The 8570, also known as the 8140, is a approved baseline certification that is accepted by the DoD mainly, but all federal organizations follow this thing pretty closely. So let's look at this. What you're seeing here is the IAT level 1, level 2, and level 3. And this indicates a specific example I can give you is a level 1 is like a help desk person. Like that's like a entry level help desk person that's doing troubleshooting on laptops and desktops. Level 2 would be there'll be desktops and workstations, but also might include all the things within a certain boundary. Think of it in terms of like a local area network in a couple of different networks. Whereas IA level 2, IA means information assurance technical level 1. And that's like, let's say, one floor of an office that has 10 computers. Level 2 might have 2 different local area networks, 2 different, let's say, networks that have to talk to each other. So now this person has to be a little bit more technical because they might have to troubleshoot networking problems that are outside of whatever boundary that they're in. Think of it that way. This is like a tier 2 type person. And then you've got IAT level 3. This is a person who might have to do some really advanced stuff, like they might have to do help with architecture. They might have to work with the actual baseline configuration, like figuring out what's going to go on the network and what is not allowed to go on the network. And then they might have offices, not only 2 or 3 networks, but like maybe an entire enterprise. But look at the actual certifications. Now in IA level 1, you've got A+, CCNA security, which I don't know why that's that's really hard certification. So I don't know why that's here. And actually this might have been replaced, but I'm not sure. Network Plus, SSCP, and then level 2, IAT level 2 has CCNA security, CYSA, GICSP, Security Plus again, and then we've got level 3 CASP, and CISA is in both of those in level 3. Now, if you go down to this next level, you have managers. IAM means Information Assurance Managers. You got level 1. That's like a supervisor on that same local area network we talk about. Level 2, that's like a manager who's on 2 or 3 different networks. And then a level 3, this is like a high level type manager is managing the managers. So just to give you an idea of like the scope of what we're talking about. So in the first level, you got CASP, you have a Security Plus again. So you can see the Security Plus is very valuable, right? Already, right? If you have a Security Plus, you're already IAT level 2, and you're already IAM level IAM level 1. So CISSP starts appearing here. CISSP also appeared in level 3 over here. But CISM appears here. And then when you get up here for the management, you got CISM and CISSP once again. You might want to consider CISSP. CISSP is all over this thing. Then you got the IASAE, and I think this is like architecture. I don't remember what this all stands for, but this is like architecture people, I believe. And you've got CASP on every single one of these. And then CISSP on level 3. And CISA, I think, appears again, down here on the auditors, because it's an auditing type certification. So it really, just to give you some, I just wanted to give you like more ammo to make your final decision. And just to recap, summarize, according to approved baseline certifications, both of those are on the approved certification. The CASP appears more times. So more in the government, more people are gonna know what the CASP is, and it's very respected in the Department of Defense, and in the federal government, they know what it is. It's a high level cert. When we looked at the security certification progression, we could see that CASP is a couple rungs above CISA. The marketability outside the government, CISA wins hands down. It's double the marketability of the CASP. So based on all of that information, you should be able to make your own decision about it. I personally would go with the CISA, and only because it's more marketable. And what I've learned being a GRC professional is that you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into one industry. And I'm not to say that CASP is pigeonholing yourself, but the CISA is more marketable outside of the military from what I've seen. Having worked in the military for the federal government, different branches, different agencies and departments, and outside in the private sector. So CISA wins for me. So that's the one I would recommend. Okay, let me see here. Got some questions on TikTok. Hey, Larry, how you doing, man? I see you. Let me see here. What is your take? Okay, another TikTok question. What is your take on lead implement? What is your take on the lead implementer certification to land a job? A lead implementer, I believe that's an ISO lead implementer. I think that's what that is. I don't even know lead implementer. I've heard of it before. ISO 27001. Yeah, ISO 27001 lead implementer certification. I don't know that one's super marketable, but anytime you're able to put ISO 27000, if we're talking about the same thing, I hope I'm on the right path here, because I think you're talking about ISO 27001 ISM lead implementer. And if that's what you're talking about, if you can get that and put ISO on your resume, it's a huge keyword. ISO 27001 is a huge keyword. So there's a few different certifications that if you get it, so many jobs are looking for it. So many companies, so many organizations are looking for it. It's frameworks wise, it would be ISO 27001, NIST 800 risk management framework is a big one. NIST CSF, Cybersecurity Framework, is another one. And then after that, the one you see a lot, those three right there, you see the most. But underneath that, that are more specialized, you see PCI, DSS, you see HIPAA, even though that one's pretty niche. And then less so, you see Sarbanes-Oxley for the financial sector. And then there's some other ones that you see, but those are like the top ones that I see, having looked at this market quite a bit. Then I see quite a bit. Let me see, answer some more questions. And you said, I'm a veteran. Could that help with entry level jobs along with my degree? Oh yeah, yeah. Being a veteran is huge for a few different reasons. Number one, veterans tend to have, of course, not all of us, but tend to have a real hardcore work ethic because they're coming from the Army, the Marines, special operations, Air Force, Coast Guard. They're coming from an environment where it's baked in. Like, just to survive in there, your work ethic has to be on another level. That a lot of your competitors, other people outside the military, don't have. They just don't have it. So just that work ethic alone already gives you a check box. Another thing is, a lot of us will come out of the military having a security clearance. You might not even know you have one, but you might want to check. You might be able to um, just if you have that, even if you were in supply, right? If your job was supply, or you were office worker, or you were in a dental office or something, for whatever reason, sometimes there's some career paths that lend themselves to getting a security clearance. So you don't have to have a security clearance to do cybersecurity, but a lot of veterans have one when they get out. So that's another thing that's going to help you: the work ethic, the security clearance. What else? Another thing is all your training, especially if your training is in a line with IT. That's going to help you. So you got to make sure you put out this stuff on your resume. A lot of us veterans, either we put it on our resume and it's in Navy speak, or it's in Marine speak, or Air Force speak, or whatever, that nobody knows except other Air Force, Marines, or whatever people. You've got to put it in layman's terms. You got to put it in the lowest common denominator. Like, you've got to put it in corporate speak. You got to, if you worked on something called ComNavMar and it was a Navy network or something, like, nobody's gonna know what ComNavMar is. You got to put that you worked on a local area network in a classified environment, something like that. If that's what you happen to do, because people know what a local area network is, a LAN. They don't know what ComNavMar is. Um, does that make sense? Don't use military speak. Put that on your resume. So another thing. So we talked about security clearance, possibly check and see if you have one. You might have one, and just don't know it. And then I would say the ability to attain a security clearance too. That's another big one, because some people can't get a security clearance because they're not U.S. citizens, or they have some criminal past that doesn't allow them to, or whatever. So being in the military, especially if you didn't get a bad conduct discharge, like that dude who shot Massey in the face, that's bad news. If you got a bad conduct discharge, that means you did some bad shit in the military, very bad, because they don't just kick people out. Like, it's got to be a good reason, and usually it's compounded. Like, these guys get kicked out. No offense if you've been kicked out, but normally, unless they came after you and they just didn't like you or whatever, and that does happen, they usually have a rap sheet. I know, because I had troops that were on the track and they did a lot of stuff, man. And there was nothing it's behavioral problems. Like, there's nothing I can do for them. It was like violence, or they just didn't want to do stuff, or they were whatever. So if you are in the military, um, another thing is your training. Like, you get a lot of training if it's in the line with what you're going to do on the outside. That's another thing. So there's a lot of different reasons that you can get a job being a veteran. So that will help you for entry level. but you still need to do the work. You still need to know basic IT fundamentals and things like that. So that doesn't exempt you from knowing stuff or doing the work. Experience still matters too. Kennedy said, "Would you let a security would you let a security clearance expire? I'm debating on whether not I should go private or gov, and I've been told that gov work is for those wanting to slow down and retire. Thoughts?" So, Kenny, this is a great question that I can answer because I was in that decision a few years back where I'd been using my certification to get that extra cash and to get that stability, and I no longer have a security clearance that's active. And just to give you background, I'm from the Air Force, and I did 8 years. I was a security forces member, like a as a military police officer, and then I cross trained, meaning I've changed jobs. I made a lateral change to be in computers, where I did help desk, all this kind of working with classified networks, unclassified networks, all kinds of stuff. So I had to have a security clearance to work on those classified networks. When I got out, I still had a clearance, and I didn't realize how valuable it was at the time. This is a long time ago. So got out, and lo and behold, a lot of jobs were like, "Do you have a clearance? Oh, is it active?" And they're like, "Okay, come on." They would fly me to another state to do an interview. That's how bad. That's how just having a clearance was huge. And it came up. I had that clearance for. I just whenever I would go to another job, I would keep that active clearance. I would go to another job that would renew my clearance or keep my clearance active. Because the thing is, I think certain clearances, the way it works is they expire after a certain amount of years. Like let's say you have a secret clearance and it expires after X amount of years. And if you have a TS, it expires after 2 years, whatever it is. I don't know what the number is. But if you go to another job, there's a whole office in the background that will redo your investigation to keep it active. So you go to another job and keep it active. So that's what me and Kennedy are talking about. So I did that when I got out of the military. I kept it active. I would go to another clearance job. I would get offers job that had no clearance, but I knew it was going to happen. They weren't going to be able to renew my clearance, and then it would no longer be active, right? So I would go to another job that had a clearance. It was very strategic, and plus those paid more anyway. Um, I came to a crossroads. When did that happen? I came to a crossroads because I got a really good offer. It was the first time I had an offer that was competitive to the federal government. And the pay was better. The company was good. It was it's called Ball Aerospace. I no longer work there, but it was a great company. Like it was one of the better companies I worked for. I can say, right? And they hired me on as a subcontractor, and I didn't need a clearance. I wasn't working on their classified environments. The job that they had didn't require it. And they're on the fence about renewing it. But at that point, I started getting more offers for non-clearance jobs. And let me see what happened. I went to NASA after that, and then what did I do after? There was a huge jump I made to Verizon. That's when it happened. Then I went to Verizon, and they don't have clearance jobs at the place I worked. The portion of Verizon I worked, it was like a cybersecurity department. Not many people know about, but they do like cybersecurity risk assessments and stuff for B2B business, other businesses. They're doing these for. Um, and they don't have a classified environment at the time. Maybe they do now. I don't know, but they didn't have a clearance. They didn't need one. So I knew it was going to expire, and had to make a decision. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, how am I going to do this? And their offer was so good. The benefits were so good. The Everything was so good that for the first time, I really was like, okay, I'm not going to keep this clearance anymore. And I might just go 100% private sector. And I worked with them for a few years. and got other offers and stuff that were as good. It opened me up to a whole nother world outside of clearance. And it made me realize you don't need a clearance to make money. It was the first time the Ball Aerospace job opened my eyes because it was a great company, great culture at the time. It was like the people that was working there were cool. I was like, damn, this is only things they want me to move somewhere else. And I was like, I can't do it, you know. And then the other job was Verizon, and they had their benefits were good. Everything, all the planets were in alignment. They were paying hella good. They has a great bonus, all this kind of stuff going on. I'm like, damn. And then that job. So there's something called a public trust. And this is when I learned it for the first time. So it's not a clearance. And I thought it was. I thought it was like a public trust and then a secret clearance and then a TS and then whatever, right? Yankee White or whatever the fuck they call the other ones. I don't know. I don't know I don't know the tiers anymore, right? And I know that those guys get paid and they want you and there's less competition when you have that security clearance, and all of that is very attractive. But the private sector and sectors that don't require a clearance are way bigger. There's way more market. There's way more non-classified environments. So that's one thing. The pool is an ocean. It's not a pool. It's not a big lake. It's an ocean. It's huge market for people who only want a public trust, which is not a security clearance, by the way. It's just a thorough background check. Another thing is that there's more work from home. The government's coming around and classified environments are coming around. They've got this new technology that allow you to do it, but it's still like flex or telecommute sometimes a week or whatever, but it's not quite there yet. There's some there that will allow you to do it, but not many. So there's more work from home jobs if in the non security clearance world. Another thing is there's more going on. There's more industries that don't require a secret. When you get into the clearance world, the security clearance world, it's pretty much just the federal government. You got different branches of the military, you got the intel world, you got different parts of the federal government, whatever. And it's pretty big, but there's an even bigger pool that's in the federal government that only needs a public trust. So when my eyes were open to how they pay good, there's a lot of jobs and I learned how to market for them. And that's the biggest thing. I learned how to market for those other spaces. And that was when I started venturing into other frameworks, not just the NIST risk management framework, which is what I, was primarily my bread and butter. So then I started learning ISO 27001, PCI DSS, CIS, Sarbanes-Oxley, HIPAA, all of these other things. That the thing is, they're not that complicated. NIST risk management framework is way harder than these other frameworks. Everything else can fit into NIST 800. So if you know that one, you basically can figure out all the other ones pretty quickly. So you're debating on whether you should go to the private sector. I can just give you a little bit of data to guide your decision. It's more competition outside when you're not using that security clearance anymore. When you let it expire, it's more competition for sure because less people have that security clearance or can even get it. Even though there's more competition, there's more jobs available. So it forces you to look at everything rather than just those jobs. So I think there's more opportunities outside of the security clearance world than inside. That's been my experience. It was a hard decision for me to do that because I had that security clearance for so long and that I got dependent on it. Now, if you want to stay in the GS world and you mentioned something about slow down and retire, then yeah, hands down the best that I've seen, the best Benefits are going to be GS. GS lets you have I don't know, a month or more off a year. That's really hard to find on the outside of the GS world. If their what do you call it? Their medical benefits, dental benefits are second to none. You do have some good benefits in the private sector, but if you don't have a job, if you're in between jobs, God forbid something happens, because you might go bankrupt. A lot of people go bankrupt in between. So there's some pluses and minuses to it. It depends on what you want to do. I was trying to get away from the federal government. I mean, lo and behold, I still work for them, but um, it depends on what you want to do. It really depends on what you want to do. But there is a life outside of the secret clearance world, security clearance world, I should say. Hope that gives you a little bit more to go on. I was in that same route, so I know what you're feeling right now. It's had a lot of anxiety letting that thing expire. Just here to show my support. Love how passionate you are. Oh, thanks a lot, Hunter. I appreciate you, man. Let me see. Going back to TikTok, and Kirko says, Bruce, do you think operating systems architecture courses gives you a leg up in general knowledge? Yeah, I would say so. Are you taking that in college or something? Yeah, that's the kind of IT fundamentals that I'm talking about. Whenever I say IT fundamentals, that's one of the legs that you need to learn. That's one of the um, layers that you need to get a hold of is operating system, and how the operating system works with applications, and how the operating system works with the hardware. Because whenever you have vulnerabilities, it's going to be an exploit of an operating system, how the operating system interacts with applications, and how the operating system interacts with the hardware. Those are some of the vulnerability uh, things that can go wrong with systems. So the more you know about operating systems, the better. You don't really have to go super deep like computer science does. Like computer science goes into like let's talk about how to make an operating system. You don't really have to go that deep with it, you know. You just need to know, like, have an understanding of how it interacts, and then you'll start to a light bulb will go off and say, "Oh, that's how this vulnerability works." Or when that hack happened. Well, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but that thing happened. Wasn't really a hack, but the CrowdStrike thing. So CrowdStrike, that's a great example, because CrowdStrike had an application. They have an agent that sits on the operating system. Now, whenever they have make an agent like is like a little piece of code. It's almost like a parasite. It's like a little piece of code that sits on the operating system, and it collects the logs for the operating system. And whenever they make that piece of code, CrowdStrike makes these agents, they have to make it per operating system. Now, you would learn that. You would understand, like, not all operating systems are the same. It's a completely different thing from your Linux operating system to your Mac OS to your BSD Linux, Unix, to your Windows, to your phones, like your Android. All of them are slightly different, but then you'll see similarities between all of them. Like Linux is actually the framework behind Android. Is the backbone of several different other systems out there. So if you know that one, you'll start to understand how it works with and how it could be hacked. Anyway, going back to CrowdStrike agent, the CrowdStrike agent, the, it only messed up on a certain operating system, which was Windows Azure. That one took out Windows Azure. And it just so happens that that's one of the most popular business uh, business operating systems that's being used right now. And so you would understand, like, having gone through this course of operating system and architecture, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's what happened. I get it. You know, so that's a good one to get into. And then somebody else says knowing OS architecture is critical. Yeah, okay. Kingston 83. A lot of cyber is protecting data in flow or stationary. Yes. It means data at rest and data in transit is being protected, and the operating system has a lot to do with that. Let me see. And then Kingston says, so that knowledge is critical in terms of understanding how these systems work and how they can be hacked and how they can be vulnerable. Yes, I totally agree. Okay. Raba 433 says, is Security Plus better than boot camp? I don't I'm not a big proponent of boot camps. I'm thinking if you I'm not look, listen, there's some good ones out there. I've been to a few boot camps. So, but usually the company pays for it, and then I go on their dime, just so you know. So, I have been to boot camps before. I would say getting the Security Plus and doing some self learning would probably be more effective than a boot camp. That's just my personal opinion because you can take your own time. And now, if you don't have the self discipline to sit down and learn and create your own lab and go through the Security Plus yourself, and you need to pay that 5K or whatever, however much the boot camp is, you got to do what you got to do. It's better than nothing. But Security Plus, in my opinion, is 100 times better because if you do it on your own and learn all of the stuff that you need to know about Security Plus, and then you pass it on your own, you've basically done a way deeper dive than a boot camp. A boot camp is usually like a 3 day thing, and it charge you thousands of dollars for 3 days, and they're just going to pound information into your head for 8 hours a day for 3 days. And I think most people can't learn that way. I just don't think that's a very effective way to learn. Like if you really want to learn it, you need to spend time with it. You need to do a bunch of labs on your own. You need to read some stuff. You need to take your time. Most people's human brain can't absorb that much information that quickly. So, and then boot camps, another thing is like that's not very effective on your resume. Security Plus, though, if you earn that Security Plus, all the stuff in that book, you pass the certification, you're validating what you know with the certification. And that's very, very marketable to put on your resume or on your profile on LinkedIn or Dice or Monster or wherever you put your stuff. Just my own opinion. I'm just some guy, you know. Let me see. Let me see here. Larry says Security Plus probably the most marketable certification for government. I've also seen some CSA. Yeah, exactly. That's why I say Security Plus is much better. Security Plus is much better than just a boot camp. Boot camp's just a 3-day cram. I mean, I guess you could say if they put you through, depending on the boot camp, maybe if they put you through something where you have a lab, you have 3 days of labs and stuff, and you can put that on your resume. But Security Plus still going to go further than that, than just a 3-day lab. Thanks. I already have my Security Plus and CYSA Plus. So I'll consider the CISA. I mean, it's just my opinion, do your own research, please. I'm just, as somebody said, I agree with Bruce's logic between CISA versus the CASP. Both good certifications, by the way. Air Force dude here too. Working as an ISO at the moment. Oh man, that's awesome. That's great. This job. I'm also an ISO right now, and being an ISO puts you in a position where you can go a few different ways. You can go super technical because they'll offer you'll be messing around with some tools from time to time. Like right now, we're messing with a scanner. We're in our environment. So I've got to do some like network, some vulnerability and analysis stuff. And then we've got access to different seams and other different back end technologies that we have to know. So you can go super technical with it if you want, or you can go the management side, where you're managing other ISOs or doing some sort of management within the environment, or you can even go the assessment side. If you know the frameworks and the security controls well enough, you could go that route. So there's like, it's a real good way to pivot from one place to another within GRC. And somebody said over on TikTok, what is GRC? So GRC, it means governance, risk, and compliance. So governance means management. How do we manage our organization's information technology and the assets? Very, very important, because leadership is going to determine how we meet our goals, our objectives. If it's to get more money, if it's to get more people to join our program or buy our products, leadership are the ones. Governance is going to be what guides us in the right direction. And governance is not just management, by the way. It's actually all the organization is marching towards the same in the same direction. That's governance. But you need somebody in those positions to do that. So that's what governance is. Think governance, IT management kind of sums up a lot of. There's more to it, but that sums up the direction of what governance is. How do we manage our infrastructure? Risk. The R stands for risk. Really, risk management. Risk management. What does that mean? You're not going to have 100% of anything. There's no such thing as perfect, even in cybersecurity. There's no such thing. The best we can do is manage our time, money, and energy to have the lowest amount of risk that we can. Everything you do in life has a certain level of risk. Think of it like this. Every single thing. You walk outside, you can get hit by a car, you can fall down, God forbid, you can get chased by a dog, there's so many different risks, right? We've got to weigh the risks of what we're doing. And the bigger the thing that you're doing in your personal life, in your business, and in your organization, the bigger the mission is, the more risk you have to be able to take, the more risk tolerance, more of a risk appetite you have to have. You got to take bigger risks. There's more money and people, resources involved, you got to take more risk. A good example is Mr. Beast. That dude started off, I know that's a controversial thing to say, but I just want to use it as an example. Perfect example. As a small YouTuber, nobody pays attention to him. There's very little risk. He can count to 1 million, count to 100,000 or whatever in his early videos. He can go feed people in the street. He could just do all these. And maybe if he does something controversial, there's not that much risk because there's not a lot at stake. Then he got big. The dude's huge. He's now the biggest YouTuber in the world. And now a lot of stuff's coming out because there's way more risk. They're analyzing his friends. They're saying, hey, your friend did this. This guy's your best friend. This girl's your best friend, and she did X, Y, and Z. You're liable. You knew about it, right? There's more risk involved. Just like in an organization. In an organization, the bigger the organization is, like look at Walmart, look at Target, look at the more risk they have to be able to take. They have to be able to fall and get back up. They got to keep going. Risk management, the R is risk management. How much risk are we willing to take, and what are we willing to do to meet our goals? How much money are we going to spend? Do we need a firewall? What kind of firewall are we going to get? What types of things do we allow our people to do on the network? And this involves risk management, involves some of the tools is scanning tools, where you do a network scan to see what ports are open on our whole network. The larger your network, the more risk you got to take. So you're going to see all kinds of garbage and noise out there. You're going to be seeing people doing things they're not supposed to do on the network. But the bigger you get, the more risk you have to take. So you've got to manage that risk. That's what it's about. That's what risk management is about. And then the C. The C stands for, that's kind of what I do, which is compliance. How does this organization meet the laws that are out there for our industry? And the government, there's certain laws that we have to do in order to protect your information. If your information happens to be on our database, like the DMV, you go to the DMV, they have all your information to get your license or to register your car or whatever. We have to meet a certain level of encryption, There's certain things we're not allowed to do on that network because it might risk our the public's information. And there's laws that are in place that they have to meet. Think of when you go to a restaurant. There's certain codes that they have to do to keep the kitchen clean. There's certain things they're not supposed to do. In cybersecurity, it's the same thing. There's certain things that if you do X, Y, and Z on the network, the floor is dirty. It's the floor is dirty. People are going to get sick, right? There's certain things you do. It's going to get people's data leaked. It's gonna be very bad. And so a lot of these big leaks you see on the that you like on the news, it's because they're not doing GRC. They don't have proper governance. They're not doing IT management properly. They're not doing proper risk assessments, and they don't have proper compliance. When they don't have one of those things, that's when you see these huge leaks of people's information getting hit. That's what GRC is. Okay, let me see here. Other questions on TikTok. What experience do you need? I would highly suggest a background in information technology is probably one of the best things that you can do to build up if you're trying to get into GRC cybersecurity type work. It pays very well. It does really good, but you do need to have a certain amount of technical knowledge, I would say, and experience won't hurt either. That's one of the biggest things you need to have experience, and that's kind of the hard part. Let me see. Frankie J says those are broken into at least 3 different roles. I think he's talking about GRC. No one does all those things at once. Yeah, that's a good point. So GRC is a huge, huge field. It's not just one thing. Um, it's kind of grouped as Oh, thanks. Thanks. Can you guys hear me now? Sorry about that. Thanks. Thanks, Charm. Wife just ran down and said I think I accidentally hit the mute button. Okay, so I don't know how much you guys heard, but I will say no audio, no audio, no audio. How many? Okay, that was like 3 minutes ago. I apologize for that. I need to speed this bad boy up. Okay, I'm gonna speed this thing up. I apologize for that. I accidentally hit the mute button. Okay, Larry, thank you for that $20, man. I appreciate it. He says, I appreciate your content as always. When's the next book project dropping? Do you have any suggestions lined up for the future of the podcast? Last week's show knowledge was a knowledge bomb. A must watch, 100%. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate. Thanks for always watching, man. Yeah, so I've got a couple things I'm doing in the back end. I've got another book. It's going to be Cybersecurity Fundamentals, Governance, Risk, and Compliance. So I'm going to break down everything I've been talking about so that you as a GRC professional can know like what GRC is and what you really need to know. What frameworks line up with the governance, what frameworks line up with risk, and what frameworks line up with compliance. How all of this stuff works together. And my hope is that when I'm talking to project managers, IT professionals who are asking me these questions, you're on the right path. You're asking the right questions. I want you to understand. I want you to understand the bigger picture. There's a blue ocean out there for you, waiting for you. And if you understand the layout of it, it's going to open you up to way more opportunities. And so that's what this next book is about. That's one of the ones that I'm working on. In addition to that, I'm thinking about making one into a workbook and one that you can get off Amazon, and then tying that into a course. And I'm also working on a place that we can all talk together so that we can talk throughout the week together. So those are the things I'm working on in the background. Thanks, Larry, for asking that. Appreciate it. There's a lot more to come for sure. And it's because you guys are your support. I really appreciate it, and that's telling me that this is working. That's telling me that there's a need for this, and that's why I'm continuing to do more and more and try to provide more and more and kind of level up a little bit on all this stuff. All right, King Camp on TikTok says, "Is CompTIA the only place I can take courses? They're pretty pricey. You've got different courses. Oh, you mean the courses for the CompTIA certifications? I'm trying to understand what you're. Is CompTIA the only place you can take courses that are really pricey? No. Okay, so let's say you were trying to take the Security Plus. Let me show you a couple places. I want to show you live. Let's say you wanted to go CompTIA. No audio. What here? LinkedIn, no audio. Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what's going on with LinkedIn. I'm gonna have to continue. Um, can you guys hear me before I go any further? Thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Hearts if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, let me pause for a second, make sure you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Yes? Hearts? Okay, good. Thanks. I'll continue this as soon as I know. How about YouTube? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Is this thing on? On YouTube, we can hear you. Okay. Maybe just on LinkedIn, can't hear me. I'm not sure. I got to continue though. Okay. All right. TikTok can hear me. LinkedIn can hear me. Thank you guys so much. All right. All right. So the question was, is CompTIA the only place I can take courses? They're pretty pricey. All right. No, that's not the only place you can take courses. Let me show you some really good places that you can take courses from that I would recommend. First of all, YouTube. YouTube has a bunch of great free courses and free stuff that you want to mess around with. Check out the stuff that you can get for free directly off of, directly off of YouTube if you're on a budget, especially. But when you're ready to invest in yourself, let me show you a couple of places you can go to for Security Plus. Now you can do this with just about any course. You'll find these things. But the harder the courses get, the more money you're going to have to spend, just so you know. CompTIA is popular enough and has enough stuff out there to where you can find lots and lots of resources. Udemy. Let's start with you. Let's say you got off YouTube, you're ready to invest. Maybe you did a free YouTube course. Here's one right here. I heard that there's a dude named Professor Messer, who people swear by. But here's another place that you can go to. Now, I have no affiliation with Udemy except for like trying to sell some stuff on there myself at one time, many moons ago. But here's CompTIA courses, and these are not too bad. Like if you're a first time buyer on here, they're giving you like 82% off, which sucks for the actual creator, but it's great for you. $19. And look at the ratings. The ratings are going to give you an idea of how effective this is. Look at also the hours and what they're covering. Take a look at all the stuff they're covering, and this will give you an idea of how intense the course is going to be. So Udemy is one. Let me see if I can find another one for you. Of course, we already talked about YouTube. You don't want to do CompTIA. CompTIA's courses on there for their own stuff is pretty pricey, like you said. But another one is Coursera. Coursera, also pretty good stuff on here. Because all you're trying to do is get the core information. You're trying to get that common body of knowledge for each one of the areas that they cover for that exam. So every exam you take is going to have a breakdown of the areas that they cover. Let me see if they show it here. They're not showing it here. But yeah, so most of these courses cover all of those areas, and they're not too pricey. You're talking about $100. Of course, if you can find the free stuff on YouTube, it's not too bad. In a lot of the stuff that you get on YouTube is going to be a little dated. Because Security Plus, it updates like once a year. So I think they're up to 701 right now as of 2024. But you might see some of the free stuff for 601 or 501 or 401, where they have the entire course of covering everything, but none of the like really new recent information on there. So yeah, Coursera, Udemy, and then here's Professor Messer. This is the guy everyone talks about right here. He's got his own website, Professor Messer. This dude people swear by, but here's more stuff that is breaking down the concepts of Security Plus right here on Professor Messer's website. So those are 3 places you can get it for a pretty reasonable price. And I would also recommend you actually break open a book, buy a physical copy of the book, or if it's better for you to do it on an ebook, get that and then start taking notes on the book. That's what I did. So those are a few. And you guys let me know in the comments if you guys have any suggestions that you would recommend. Tell these guys what, let's support each other and tell them like where to go to get these courses if they happen to be listening right now. And I'm seeing some people mention Professor Messer right here. And Professor Messer is too dry and slow. Well, I mean, a lot of people swear by this dude. Like, I haven't taken his courses, but I mean, just about every time I get on here, somebody is mentioning this guy. So it must be pretty good. It's like the GWU stuff, man. Everybody's talking about it. All right, let me see here. I can't see your screen. Yeah, I don't share the screen on TikTok. So I'm working on maybe I can do something where I can start showing the screen. Every time I use the TikTok app that shows my screen, I get nobody watching it, and I don't know what's going on with TikTok. Let me see more questions here. It's been so hard for me to get an IT desk job. Yeah. It is hard to get that first job. That's been one of the most challenging questions I have is how do you get your foot in the door? How do you get your if this is your first time, how do you actually get your foot in the door? Um, and what I tell people is one of the things that you could do is what I did, which is to start where you are. I was an MP in the military when I went to computers, when I did help desk. And what did I do? I cross trained. So wherever you happen to be, they have an IT department. So whatever job you happen to be, if it's at a school, you're a teacher, if you're in a bank, if you're in a hospital, if you're wherever you happen to be, they almost always have an IT department. See if you can make a lateral change into that IT department, or at the very least, get experience. Go work on your off time, do whatever you can to go get experience with that IT department that's there. Help them fix stuff. If there's a way for you to do that, then that's one thing that you can do. If you happen to have some kind of community service, like a lot of us have a third place we go where it's a local community service, whether it's one common one is church. If you happen to any kind of local community you do, and they have an IT, if they have a network, if they have a guest network, offer to help with secure their network. What you're trying to do, whether you're a working student or um, internships or apprenticeships or whatever, or freelancer doing your own business and working, offering people service for cheap or for free or whatever. What you're trying to do is get experience on your resume so that you can level up. You're trying to take that first step. So when you land that interview, and you will land it, if you keep trying, if you don't quit, you will master this. You only fail if you quit. If you keep going and you get that uh that interview, they're going to ask you about your experience. So that's where you got to focus your energy. All right, let me see here. Okay, got some craziness going on in the background. Okay. I have a security plus and a CISA. I just lack experience. Any advice? Yeah, so this will be the similar experience, and I think you asked me a question before. I thought you said you worked in compliance and risk. I need to know more about your background. LOL. The says that is ISC2 Square worth it for a newbie to this industry? There's a certification that the ISC2 Squared has called CC, certified in compute in cybersecurity, and I think that is worth your time. IC2 Squared is one of the premier certification organizations out there. They're the guys who have the CISSP and the CGRC, which are two top tier certifications. They have a knack for promoting and publishing their certifications everywhere. I don't know what kind of marketing team they have or what, but they kick butt on the certification game like no other organization. There's a couple other top tier ones out there, like the SANS or the EC Council, who does a CEH, and recently OffSec or Offensive Security, who have great certifications, marketable, but nobody does it like the IC2 Square does. So, is it worth your time as a newbie to get that certified in cybersecurity? I will never bet against ISC2 squared right now. And for the last decade or two, they have dominated the certification space. Any field they go into, they dominated. So, um, they even made a little bit of waves in the cloud space. They have a cloud certification, and even that one is up there, and that's saying something because the cloud space is they're going up against giants. They're going against Amazon and Google, and they still managed to pierce that market a little bit. They're not the top cloud certification, but that says a lot because literally AWS and Google are the top. They are an industry in and of themselves in cloud, and ISC2 Square was still able to make a little bit of headway into their market, which is crazy. So ISC2 Square for a newbie doing the certified in cybersecurity certification is worth your time, I'd say. They're going to market the hell out of it. It's very new certification. It's going to take a while for it to bloom. But yeah, it's a good entry level certification. Don't stop there. You're going to have to keep going and working at it, but that's a good one. Somebody's asking the question, do you think you need to go to the CompTIA A plus Network Plus before studying for the Security Plus? It depends. Like if you are already an IT professional, a help desk professional, you can just completely mind wipe CompTIA A plus and Network Plus from your vocabulary. You don't need it. You don't. But if you are new, if you're absolutely new to this and you don't even know the terms or concepts, you never built a computer, you've never torn one apart, you've never put together a network, you know what an IP address is, but you kind of don't know what it is, then you don't know the terminology, probably you need to start from the beginning. And I get a lot of people who ask me these questions who are very, very new to this. And I recommend doing the CompTIA A plus because that was the first certification I did. And after I was done with it, it it was like I understood a new language. It was like I got it. It was like a light bulb went off. And I was like, okay, now I get how all this works. Because the way that they lay out the common body of knowledge is very effective. And they tell you what you need to know, and you have to know some of the components within the system in order for it all to make sense. It goes pretty in detail. If you're new to technology, it's not an easy certification. If you've done IT for a while, if you're a help desk person, it's useless to you. It's useless. A lot of my peers and some of the other influencers out there, they say, do not waste your time with CompTIA A plus, and definitely don't waste your time with Network Plus. But I disagree. I think if you're absolutely new to this, because I was new, and those are the first two certifications I took, and they were very helpful to me. Like when I was new. If you're, like I said, if you're already in this field, don't waste your time with it. It's going to be all stuff you already know or don't need to know, and then go straight to Security Plus. Just my 2 cents on it. All right, I'm going to speed my way through these because I got to end this in about 20 minutes. Okay, let me see. What free frameworks can I take or programs to take? Wait, what free frameworks I can take or programs to take? YouTube has a bunch of free stuff on there. They've got free 10-hour free courses on Security Plus, 10-hour free courses on learning Java. You can learn just about anything for free on YouTube. Is it going to be the best quality? I mean, it's free. You know what I mean? It's free. For frameworks, all the frameworks are free. Like all you got to do is you just got to know where to look. That's not the hard part. The hard part is applying the information's out there for free, but the hard part is applying it into an organization. That's the hard part. But for the most part, all this information, you can get it. You just got to know what to type in, where to go, and then from there, what to put on your resume. How do I check if I have a security clearance? This is a good question. You said you said you were in the military, right? I can't remember if this is the person that said that they were in the military. So, the way that I checked my security clearance when I was fresh out of the military there was a number that I could call. I would reach back and I couldn't remember what the number was. I was like, damn, what's that number? They gave me a number to check to see if I have my security clearance, whatever. Call back to your old boss, your old supervisor, and then ask them. There's always a department that holds your security clearance and knows all the dates and everything. So call back to your old job, your supervisor, your manager, whoever, and then they will direct you, or your HR department. That's even better. HR department. Call back to your old HR department and ask them, hey, I'm looking for my security clearance information. You might call back to the base, your old unit, whatever. They will guide you to the place that has all that information. And then they'll give it to you. All right, let me see. I'm gonna speed run through these. How valuable is a top secret clearance with a Security Plus? Extremely valuable, especially if you live in certain areas of the United States. One of those is the DMV area. That's DC, Maryland, Virginia. If you live in that area, you can get a job if you have a top secret clearance, with or without a Security Plus. Because it's very costly. Top secret clearance is hard to maintain and hard to get you. It's hard to get a new person, a security clearance, a top secret clearance. Another place that you can go besides DMV area is Colorado, because they have a lot of bases there and they have a lot of places that need people with a TS clearance. Another one will be Texas. There's a couple places in Texas, such as Plano, Texas, and Dallas, Fort Worth, and some anywhere near the bases. California, Southern California has a whole bunch of top TS clearance jobs, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple, but those are like the top ones that come to mind. They're all over really, but those were like some of the hubs that you're going to go to that have the most TS, and that's going to be very valuable to have that TS clearance. You don't have to have it. Like I said in the beginning of this, you don't have to have it, but is it helpful? Hell yes, especially if you're new. Hey, can you save the live on YouTube so I can rewatch this, please? Yeah, it'll be on convocourses.com if you guys want to watch this later. And at some point I'm going to take the time to break it up into parts so you can like skip where all the topics that we covered here. But I've got so many videos, it takes me a while to get to them, to break them up. What do I need to learn to work for the government? So it depends on what part of the government you want to work for. If it's in IT, depends on what type of IT you do. If you're a network engineer, you need to know networking. Uh, if you're a firewall, if you're trying to go for a firewall job, you need to know. I can tell you exactly which firewall to know. Palo Alto firewall. If it's networking, you need to know Cisco routers. So CCNA will go a long way for that. If it's operating systems, it's mostly Microsoft. Mostly Microsoft type stuff. It depends. Government is a huge, huge field. Like basically, they have everything. They have everything that the private sector has. So that's a very broad question. Found out that my company doesn't need auth to email to send an email from their SMP server. Can I imitate anyone? I can imitate anyone. Oh shit, that's not good. Found out my company doesn't need auth to send an email from their SMT. You might want to tell them that. I can imitate anyone. Can send emails as anyone, and everyone tested it myself. You might want to tell your company that. So there's this thing. What he's talking about is something called SMTP spoofing. So if you don't secure your email server, then you can send an email as Jeff Bezos coming from Amazon. You can send an email to anybody in the organization that looks like it came from the CEO of the company. And it'll have, like, if you read the name of it, it'll say, Jeff Bezos at Amazon.com. And you could send it to anyone, and then they'll get it and say, "Oh shit, this is from the CEO," you know, and it'll say jeffbezos.com. But if you don't lock down so what you need to do, man, is you need to let them know that that's going on because they need to secure that. Let me see here. That was a crazy night on this security operating center. Cybersecurity needs concentration. You must learn languages. You need to practice it. It's not hmm, I disagree. 2+ years experience as a co-op degree and boot camp can't get a job. 2 years experience. It's your resume. It's your resume for sure. It's either your resume or you're too picky, or some of both. If you just go to Google, type in ATS style resume. First of all, you need a specific kind of resume. It's called ATS style resume. I know exactly how to get you a job, but I mean, I just don't think I put this out for years and people just don't listen to me. That's why I don't even like talking about it because I say it and people don't listen to me. But okay, here goes. In 1 minute or less. Go to convocourses.com and look for my free resume. Download it. It'll give you an example of what an ATS style resume looks like. Go through that, get the wording down, put your experience in there. What you want to do is for whatever field you're trying to get into, get the keywords on there. Now, that's the key. What are the keywords? If you go to LinkedIn and type in whatever field you're trying to get in, forensics, digital forensics, SOC analyst, GRC specialist, whatever it is, type it in there. Look at other people's resumes. Some people put their whole resume out there. They have the keywords. All the top 10 people, they have all the best keywords. It'll be in their job titles. It'll be inside of the wording. You want to copy what they're doing. Don't copy exactly what they're saying, but copy what they're doing. You guaranteed have a lot of the experience that they have. You just haven't put it on your resume or on your profile. Take those keywords, put those into your ATS style resume. Once you have an ATS style resume done and complete, use mine as an example or some of theirs. You want to upload that into the following places: monster.com, dice.com, LinkedIn, indeed.com, and 5 others. You want at least 10 different job aggregators to put the now warning. When you do this, you are going to get spammed with all kinds of jobs. Now, not all of them are opportunities for you. There's about 3% of the stuff that comes in is going to be for you. The other ones, you're going to be interviewing them as much as they're interviewing. You're going to be weeding them out because you will get contacted. Be warned, it will work. If you put this on 10 sites, you will get contacted, but not all of them are legit. Not all of them are in line with what you want to do. Then you got to get aggressive. Start applying for jobs. Like, start reading through. Make it your life. If you don't have a job, if you do not have a job, your job should be to do nothing but look for new jobs. Go through every single one of them. LinkedIn, Dice, all the ones that you put, and then start fishing, looking for jobs that you line up with that you can do. And then you got to make a sacrifice. If you want to get paid, you're going to have to move out of the city, out of the state, out of the country. That's what I did. If you do that, you will get paid. Now, not everybody wants to make that kind of sacrifice. Travel is another way you can do it. If you have a high level of travel, if you're able or willing to do 65% travel, you will get paid. It sucks, especially if you have kids. It absolutely sucks, but you'll get paid. You don't want to do none of that. You don't want to move. You don't want to travel. Then you're going to look for a local job that doesn't pay a lot, but what you're trying to do is get your foot in the door to either level up within that company or change companies like after 8 months to get your boost up your resume and then bounce. So those are the things you can do. It will work. If you do what I'm saying, it will work. It's not going to be, if you won't like it, it will suck, but it will work. What can I do to get a job? Okay, I just said that one. Do you code? I do not code. I make 130,000 a year. I do not code. I do not know how to code whatsoever. So when people say, "Oh, you have to know programming languages. You have to," no, not every job, not every cybersecurity job requires that you know Perl or PHP or Python. Is it great if you know that? Yeah, hell yeah. It'd be great if I knew that. I don't know it. So it's not necessary for you to know. Every job, there's so many different jobs in cybersecurity and IT, and not all of them require you to code. Um, this is a firm, 500K people, and I'm an intern. I wish I was lying, but I don't. But I don't know who to go to. Oh man, you gotta let them know, man. You gotta let them know. Who do you tell? I'd start with my supervisor about that email server. I'd start with the supervisor, and then I would work my way up. You need to tell somebody, and then keep the email because that's a huge hole. What job can you get with an A plus and network plus? If with no experience, you can't get no job with those two certifications. Um, you might be able. There are some jobs, but they're going to be much harder to find. There are some jobs that don't require a degree or experience, but they're hard. There are not many of them. They're going to be local and they don't pay a lot. They do exist, and there's not that many jobs that are looking for an A plus alone. If you have experience in A plus, it'll help you out a bit. I tell people to get the CompTIA A plus because it helps them to learn. That's why I tell them to do it. Is it marketable? I mean, kinda. Network Plus, not really. Not really marketable. I mean, I'm just being honest. I have one. I'm not trying to crap all over it, but it's not very marketable. It's great for learning. Like if you just want to learn some stuff, it's great for learning. Um, Going through questions fast as I can because I'm about to be out of here in a couple minutes. I have an A plus. Any advice on the next valuable cert that could help me to get into GRC? Security plus. I have a security plus. Any advice on the next valuable certification? If if you're ready, I would recommend a CISSP. If you're ready, if you have the experience, if you have the time. If not, another one to go for would probably be a specialization. Like you could, if you're interested in doing cloud, I would recommend doing a AWS certified cloud practitioner, or if you're into networking, a CCNA, which is not easy, um, some kind of specialization. If you can't do the CISSP, just my 2 cents. There is one called the CGRC, which is a GRC certification. I have it. That's another one you can do. Not super marketable. It's very niche. It's the only people who really know about it is the Department of Defense and federal government. That said, it's not bad. It's not a bad certification. It's very focused. It's one of the bigger GRC certifications out there. But CISSP or specialization is what I would recommend. But it depends on where you are. I don't know like where you're at, but any of one of the ones I just mentioned is going to get you paid. Let me see. CompTIA A plus jobs. Like I said, without experience, it's really good. CompTIA A plus is great for learning the material, but a job without experience, it's going to be difficult. That's why you should focus your energy on experience. All right. Let me see. Wow, got so many people. Guys, it's crazy. Oh man, this is wild. Okay, Larry said, would you take a Would you take a lower paying position to get your foot in the door and get experience? Then look to leave after about a year to level up. Yeah, it's a really smart it's a smart move to make. A lower paying position to get your foot in the door and then get experience. It's a really strategic move, and I've I've done something like that before. One time I wanted to get out of risk management framework. I had done it so long that I just got tired of it. And I was offered a job for less money, doing cybersecurity and analyst work. And I took it. I mean, it was overseas in a place where I was able to do tax free. So actually, it was more money, technically more money, but in the U.S. now, I make more than that now. So anyway, so yeah, I did. I took. I wanted that cybersecurity analyst background so bad. I was so excited about it that I went and took that, and it did get my foot in the door. And I started getting job offers for being a SIEM engineer and doing all this kind of cool stuff. But I kept getting offers like for these other jobs. But thing is, it expanded my skill set so much that it made it so I was more valuable. So it was a real strategic play. So for my career, it really helped me out. I mean, I was able to go be an engineer doing seam stuff, and then what happened was I had gathered this skill set that opened up more doors for me because normally I was only getting GRC positions, but then when they saw that I was a seam engineer and a cybersecurity analyst, I would get the position as a GRC person. They're like, "Hey, could you troubleshoot this seam here? Like, we're having problems with this." And I say, "Sure." They would give me access to it, and then I'd fix it. And then it just opened up more doors for me. So yeah, it's a really good play. Like if you're really serious about the long term effect of what you want your career to be, you see something you want, like a skill that somebody has, like there maybe there's an AI position, a cyber AI position. Like you're like, damn, I want to learn more. I want that on my resume. You go do that, take a pay cut, learn it for about 8 months, bounce. And then all kinds of other doors open up for you because you know what that is worth. The cloud would be real smart to do that with, by the way, because cloud is super hot right now. It's still hot. Larry said, "What's the next sector? What is the next sector of cyber that you have your eyes on? And what are you looking into as far as being ahead of the game and leveling up? AI, cyber, PM, hybrid." I'm actually I've been doing this so long, Larry, to be honest, that I'm looking outside the whole field. Um, I'm trying to I've found what I'm really good at is writing and teaching. I'm really good at it. I didn't know. Like I just started doing this and people I'm getting a lot of like really positive feedback that I didn't expect. And I'm just like, "Damn, am I doing the wrong thing here? Like I'm super good at this. I'm way better at writing and teaching than I am at just pure cybersecurity stuff. I mean, I can get technical, but compared to what I can do with teaching, like it's not even close, man. So I just start integrating it. So what I'm trying to do is do more of this, like more teaching type stuff. I'm just so busy with my actual day job that I don't have time to I would like to make way more content, but I do it when I have free time, which is not often. So I'm trying to teach more cybersecurity stuff rather than actually doing the cybersecurity stuff. I'm good at that, but I'm better at writing and teaching. So I'm actually trying to do that more, going at like education. Because I had no idea. I mean, I knew I could write pretty good, but I mean, I just it just has an impact that I haven't seen before in my life, and I'm just like, "Damn, I need to do more of this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is it." So that's what I'm trying to do more of. I didn't I'm this late in the game, and I'm finding out a skill set that I didn't know I had. Um, all right, yeah, will do, will do. Just might do that. Might hit you up for some project management stuff. That's not my background. So maybe I was thinking about doing something with that with you. Um, okay. I think that's it, guys. I've been doing this for 2 hours straight, and I need to get off of here. But I appreciate everybody who's been watching. I see your questions. I can't get to them right now. I will be on here next week. I start between between 12 and 1 is when I started. So if the best way is just either follow my newsletter or just subscribe on YouTube or TikTok, and you'll see my lives pop up. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate everything. I will talk to you really, really soon.